I hope you're seeing what's happening, and I hope you're feeling the good that is happening, because God knows you need good. God knows you need good. And I want you to stop for a second right now and focus on the big picture. What is happening? The dashboard. What is happening here? How is this working? What is going on? What does it look like now? What information do you get? How do you begin your day? Where do you balance this? How do you look at the good news, the bad news, the so-so news, the whatever? How do you notice? How do you deal with this? This is the most important thing in the world. This is the most important question. How do you deal, and where do you get your information from? Do you go to the same source? Do you go to people who tell you what you want to hear? This is very dangerous. This is exceedingly dangerous. You don't want to go someplace that has a bunch of people with this hokum stuff that just, and this is the hardest part. You know, the other day there was a very, very telling interview with Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton was talking about how she says there is an October surprise. This is what they are talking about now. Now you got to ask yourself, are they talking about this because this is what they talk about? This just makes good copy. This, I don't know what to tell you. But they are talking about this more than you will ever realize. They are talking about this thing called an October surprise to benefit whom? Focus on what information you have. Don't let your mind wander. Don't go crazy. Don't go looking around for things that don't matter. Don't go looking too far. What is important and what is critical and what you have to recognize and to see is the following. First, the polls are looking great. Now, from what I am seeing, and I take absolute minimal interest in polls. I look at it just a little bit because whose polls, what are we talking about? This is critical stuff. This is something I cannot put into words, so to speak. I can't put this into words. I can't, what's the phrase? How do we say this? I mean, they're okay. Polls are good, but the information you're getting doesn't matter. What's interesting to note is how collectively the mood is being portrayed. What are they saying in terms of how do I say this? What do they say in terms of how he's faring? Now, a lot of the polls, I want you to also to make sure you do this. One of the best means of getting the information that you have available is through X or Twitter or whatever. It's still the best. You can kind of customize it in any way that you want. You can customize it so that it will give you kind of a filter or a prism that best explains to you. How do I say this? It best explains to you the particular phraseology, the words. Let me give you an example. October surprise. Now, there are things going on right now which I think are interesting. And don't go down, and I hate to use this term, rabbit hole, but don't do it. There is talk that the Democrats are so freaked out, the only way they could possibly win is some catastrophic Hail Mary at the very end. At the very end of, how do we say this? At the very end of, I guess you might want to say it's hard to explain, the trajectory, so to speak, okay? Hillary Clinton was talking the other day about something very bad happening. She was hearkening back to around 2016, the WikiLeaks leak, the wiki docs, the wiki information. Remember all of this stuff she talked about with Podesta and everything? We don't want to go into that one because they went berserk over that. What people are suggesting now is maybe, just maybe, one of these October surprises may very well be something a la Diddy. Okay? Something maybe along the lines of Diddy. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? It should. It should tremendously. This past week, we had something which I told you was, thank God it was averted, or was it? I don't understand, nor will I ever be given the real inside skinny as to what happened, as to the longshoremen, the ILA, the strike, and the like. I don't know what's going on with that. Why would I? Who's going to make me aware of this? Who's going to make me privy to this? I don't know. But I do know this, and this is critical. We averted and avoided and dodged a horrible, horrible, seemingly impending bullet. And it made a lot of people aware of how fragile they were and how scary it could be in the event that docks and the like are shut down. This is something which is the most important. This is the most critical. This is the most absolutely, it woke people up. This past week, they were talking about at Costco, toilet paper being, I mean, they were going crazy. This was mild panic in the event of an eventuality that may take place. And people were immediately moving in. You've never seen Americans truly panic because we've never had to panic. We've never had, there's never been any kind of panic where people have said the end is nigh, so to speak. That's why I'm telling you, and I want you to listen carefully. We have been sponsoring with, I gotta be careful of that. Hang on a minute. We have been so, hang on. I just put up one of your things. I'm trying to put up my thing, and I just put an Instagram. In any event, we are trying our best to try to focus not on scaring people, but making people understand what's going on. Just give me 1 second here before you do anything. Okay. This is preparewithlionel.com. This is it right now. In the event of problems, and it's not just dock workers, but it could be anything, supply chain, it could be disaster, it could be anything. Water, power, energy, food, ammo, stuff that I know it's contrary to the way most people think. I know it's contrary. I know people don't like to think. I know people kind of look the other way. I understand it. But you've got to understand that this is something which the rational consumer, the rational patriot, the rational citizen thinks. Go to preparewithlionel.com. Look at what's available. Water purification, generators, starting a fire, things that you would never, ever. How about in the event, believe it or not, whenever there's a disaster, plain old radio with a regular turn, one of those power things. I remember here when we had a blackout in New York. This is really before the internet. If ever the grid went down, this is the October surprise. Now, the question is, whom would it benefit? Would it be somebody for Trump? This I don't know. This I don't know. I would venture to say that the Democrats don't need anything right now to go wrong. Anything. Everything I think would would basically hurt them drastically. Everything would hurt them drastically and tremendously. Let's look at a couple of things here. So far this year, the U.S. has given $24 billion to Ukraine, $11.3 billion to Israel, 1.95 to Ethiopia, 1.6 to Jordan, 1.4 to Egypt, 1.1 to Afghanistan, 1.1 to Somalia, about $1 billion to Yemen, 987 million to the Congo, and there's Syria, and $9,000 per illegal immigrant entering the U.S. And what do you think Americans are getting? $750 courtesy of FEMA, with Mayorkas basically telling you, screw you, we're done with you. You understand what I'm saying? Screw you, we're done with you. Now, I don't know what anybody needs to know. I don't know what information you might know, what data you need to know. I don't know what you need as an American citizen. Recently, we had Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen came along endorsing Kamala Harris. Do they own this guy? Carla, the cooking CEO, says, I start my day by checking my phone, scrolling through X to make sure the world's still turning. Then I go about my routine, always keeping an eye out for posts from you and a few others I follow closely. Excellent. That's a very wise. This is Carla, by the way. Very wise indeed. I'm constantly getting data to kind of triangulate what's going on. You can be inundated with data to the point where you don't know how to filter it. You don't know what means what. Sometimes there are things that are interesting. I thought, Candace Owens say, hey, is Kamala Harris white? Does that matter? Well, I mean, whether it matters or not, is that critical? Is that critical as we look at the election? I don't know. This is crunch hour, crunch time. You can't believe this is 31, 32 days. This is a month. We're looking at, it'll be a month tomorrow. Think about it. It's beyond anything anybody's ever seen. There's a lot that's going on right now, but I don't want you to focus. I don't want you to worry too much about, how do I say this? I hate that word rabbit hole. I don't want to say this. Don't go into areas that don't matter. Sometimes we will be having discussions and somebody will throw something out and say, the liberty is that, okay, I know that means something. And yes, that's critical. Look back, and your filter has to be, very, very simply, your filter has to be, what is it that will affect the election? That's all we're talking about. What is it that will fix the election? How is it? How does this work? What is happening? Could the Diddy mega monster indictment matter? See, there are people I know who kind of say, well, I'm not really sure. There's a new case right now that a federal judge has been assigned, and Diddy case has been assigned a new judge on Thursday. A notice in the docket was reassigned to Judge Aaron Subramanian. I don't understand why this changed. It's very interesting. I don't know what the story behind this is. Why was there a change? Who knows? Did he be able to get a new, this is important, will he be able to get a new judge? Will he be released? So far from what we're hearing, and guessing as much as possible, so far, there's the belief, so to speak, this is incredible. There's the belief that the victims are willing to come forward, and they're filing suit and doing this because he is locked up. And they will be telling the judge, if he gets out, they will feel unsure. they will feel unsafe. There's a thing that's going on here about sexual abuse. Garth Brooks, this case. Remember, there's one thing in the world you should be asking yourself, or you should never say is, I don't care or I don't know. If you don't know, learn something. Everything matters. Everything. All of a sudden, the Menendez brothers, do you recognize the power? What happened with the Menendez brothers? All of a sudden, and by the way, Kim Kardashian's trying her best at the last minute to try to jump in, and she's an advocate. Okay, fine. I know people will say, "Oh, who cares? I hate Kim Kardashian." Kim Kardashian is going to be one of the most important people. Will be studying her for generations to come. Generations to come. What she did, what her family did, how they became a force. When you look at the notion of reality TV, who were the first ones? Ozzy Osbourne, Growing Up Gotti. People forget that. There was that MTV. What was that called? Our House or whatever the thing was. Everything is a part of our culture. Culture, politics, government, history. In the times of the Medicis, from the Borgias to Venetian, the governments were absolutely involved in not only the sponsoring of art, but culture. They were all intertwined. It's critical to note this. Critical. Don't be one of those people who says, "Oh, who cares? I don't care about that." When hip hop came along, people said, "Oh, that's garbage." Hip hop changed the world. In order for you to be a citizen of the world, you have to understand everything. If you're a physician, you have to understand kind of the interplay, the interconnectedness of everything. You can't just be disjointed and confused. Okay? You have to know what is going on. And there's something going on here. There is something going on. Joe Biden, I had my clips today, but Joe Biden they asked him, they said about the storm. He said, "What storm?" I don't know if you saw this. Is Joe Biden throwing in is he sandbagging this? I mean, is he, again, I'm trying to look at things. I'm trying to say, well, I don't want to think this. I was talking to somebody the other day about, there's a mountain in North Carolina that they were for the longest time trying to own or to seek the rights of, because of lithium mining. And people I know said, they directed the storm. I say, where are you getting this from? They are so into intrigue. They are what people call the conspiracy theorists. Brad says, what's the latest on voter fraud? We will find out. Do you see anything on it? You see anybody talking about it? Nope. Because the people who have to report on it are people who are charged with preventing it. People who are charged with preventing something normally don't say, hey, look what we did. Never say you don't know or can't say, I'm not sure or I am not certain. You're programming your subconscious mind. You're right. But also, you're right about that, Crypto. But people sometimes love to say, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm better than that. That's stupid. Taylor Swift, I think that's dumb. The Mets, the Mets here in New York, what does this mean? This is bread and circuses. This is juvenile. This is the most important thing in the world. This is a bit of distraction, a bit of a lot of things. Always remember, you are looking at everything. You're that villager who's walking through the jungle looking for droppings, for bent twigs, or you're looking for, where are the birds? Where's the bait fish? Why is it getting dark earlier? These are what human beings did. They always noticed everything. And they figured out, they had a hypothesis, maybe a theory, and then later on they said, here's what happened. You have to ask yourself a question which is so absolutely important. Where do you fit into the world? And how did anybody ever teach you how to think? I was watching this morning. I cannot watch. I try to get a smattering, maybe on YouTube, which I watch most of the time, just to get an idea of kind of these circulars. Fox News in particular, Fox News, maybe news. I've never watched Newsmax, so I don't really know about that. But I go specifically to other people looking at this. Let me give you an example. How many of you love Victor Davis Hansen? You like Victor VDH? You like him? You like Victor Davis Hansen? I'm sure you do, right? Because he's so smart. I love him. I love him. He likes Trump. Have you heard his Middle Eastern analysis? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. He is so sold. He says, I'm not going to screw this up. I'm not going to screw this up. I'm not going to say anything but this is a matter of anybody who dares to object to Netanyahu is an anti-Semite. This is October the 7th, and that's it. And I am not going to go any further. Period. End of discussion. I'm not going to risk my gig on Fox. We don't say that. And if you don't understand that, then there's no help for you. I don't know. Just like after 9/11, nobody said anything about that. Nobody said, what does Iraq and Afghanistan have to do with anything? Nope. I cannot believe something this big, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Middle East, whether it's Israel, Gaza, Hezbollah. Ask people, anybody to just give you some basic explanations of what's the difference between Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and who are they and what are they? They have no earthly idea. None. During World War II, people knew explicitly. They had maps. I remember there's a guy who told me one time when he was a kid, he had a map on his bedroom wall. He would track, where the Americans were going. They knew about geography. We don't know this. This world is so complicated. Is there going to be any significant difference in Middle Eastern policy under Trump? Probably not. Nope. Absolutely not. Is that good or bad? It's not good. It's not good. I've heard somebody the other day, it was interesting. They said, we were talking about this. They said, what are we possibly getting? What benefit? What benefit do we get from giving all this money to Ukraine? Where is this going? Where do we benefit? Why? That's such a good question. I said, what about Israel? Whoa. If you don't notice the difference between this, if you don't see this, and by the way, I don't spend this because here, my audience does not care about Ukraine, Israel, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence yesterday was they're talking about automating docs and everything. You know what that's going to be like? Nobody still understands artificial intelligence. No. Nobody. You never hear anybody even mention it. To them, it's like it's a robot or something. I heard the other day a guy on the radio say, well, look, it's a matter of just automation. Look, there was a buggy whip. There was, I'm sure the horse, buggy whip people hated the car. And no. Again, this shows a lack of understanding as to where this is going. And if you don't understand this, no. Absolutely not. You've got so much data on your plate, so much that's happening. And you've got to almost find your specialty and stick to it. You almost have to listen to people. And listen to what I'm telling you when I explain this to you. If you want to know what is going on, let's say in France, hypothetically, if there's a labor strike, if they're the yellow vests, if they're whatever it is, if you want to know, you have to listen to what they're saying in France on French shows with French people, and you have to hear the left and the right, and you have to hear everybody. You can't triangulate an idea unless you understand how these people, where they come from, if that makes any sense to you. Okay, you got it? That make any sense? This is critical stuff, my friends. Absolutely critical stuff. It is absolutely your duty to do this. That's all I'm going to tell you. Things I think are going terrific today. I've got so many new videos. Oh, the Diddy thing is huge. If you pull the lid off of Hollywood, hip hop, entertainment, you go right into the politics of this. I want you to follow that. I also want you to do a couple of things too. Remember our great sponsors, preparewithlionel.com. I can't say this enough to you. You might have thought that tragedy is averted. If you think this is done, if you think you're in the clear, like, hey, don't worry about it. Bought all that toilet paper for nothing, you're out of your mind. Preparewithlionel.com and just spend some time and just look at what's available that you never thought was even on the market that somebody thought about. Don't forget our great friends at mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. And don't forget October the 26th at the Cutting Room. I'm going to be there for an extravaganza 10 days before the election. My friends, I've also told you Mrs. L's YouTube channel is absolutely, dear friends, on fire. On fire. And I am telling you that this is her address. This is the link right now. And everything is available on the site here. Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Go there. Lynn'sWarriors.com. Crypto Domini said, it won't let me say, but I was going to say, relinquishing in the front line is the October surprise. Why don't you try doing, for example, spelling words backwards? Be palindromic, so to speak. That's all. Maybe trying that. That's all I'm going to tell you. My friends, I thank you. Crypto, thank you, my friends. Thank you. And thank you, Carla, the cooking CEO, and Brad. Oh, Bradley, you're tremendous. I appreciate this. I'm going to cut this short a little bit. I got a million things to do. I got all kinds of, not that you're not important, but I've got loads of these appointments today and the like, and I'm going to do everything I can. What is going on here? Let me see. What is going on here? Just a minute. This is odd. Hang on. Technology. What a gas. Where is this thing? Okay, there we go. All right, my friends, listen, thank you. Today's a hush day. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Don't forget, make sure you subscribe to Lionel Nation, and Lionel Legal. We have so much to talk about. Thank you so much for being with us. Don't forget Lynn's Warriors as well. I'm still going through the news that is happening today, and there's some other wild stuff that I cannot talk about. It is verboten on this particular platform, and those are the rules. And I've got to go to my private channel to talk about this stuff, which is just wow. Because remember, the stuff that's the most important is the stuff that people don't want you to talk about. We'll talk to you then, my friends. Have a great and glorious day. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.